This edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPhone, PDF Pen for iPad, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPhone and iPad, Text Expander Touch, and Disk Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is Mac Voices. We're in San Francisco at WWDC and the AltConference. I'm lucky enough to sit down with Nigel of Mindbrix to talk about his latest project and everything else that's going on in his company. Nigel, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, it's a real pleasure. So, Mindbrix, you're working on something, as I understand it, called VectorGL?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about VectorGL and what it offers to both the developers and to the consumer.
Right. Well, VectorGL is ultimately quartz on the GPU. And it's one of the graphics paths which macOS and iOS has yet to accelerate. If you think about core animation, that's all done on the GPU. Core animation and the GPU enabled the original iPhone experience, the smooth swiping between pages. That was one of the innovations of the original iPhone, was it had a GPU as standard on the device. So it meant the graphics the animations were possible. And if you look, iOS has been built on animations. Little things pop in, pop out, move to side. It wasn't just static screens flashing up, which is one of the problems with computers. If they happen too fast, they seem like magic and they appear to puff of smoke. And I think Steve Jobs realized you have to get away from that. You have to make things live in the real world. People don't just appear. Information just doesn't pop in front of you. It has a journey, it has a location. And to be able to represent that kind of movement and space, you need animation. Which Apple put in. Now, what I'm accelerating is what we call vector graphics. I don't know if you're familiar with the term vector graphics.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So, vector graphics are vectors, drawings made from outlines. That's what they are, shapes, effectively.
As opposed to pixels.
Yes, exactly. Because the thing about shapes is that they're scalable. You can zoom in on a shape and it's still a nice, smooth shape. So they have this kind of inherent scalability about them, which makes them kind of future-proof. It's like I use vector assets in my apps. I use PDFs and I render PDFs in my app. So when the Retina iPhone came out, the iPhone 4, everyone was like, oh my god, I'm going to go to my designer and get all my assets pixel doubled and everything like that. I just recompiled it and it worked because I was working in the vector space. I'm a big vector file. So any way you can get to accelerate vector rendering, that's me. Because I just love that simplicity where I don't want to go through Photoshop. Maybe I just want to render the shapes myself and move just like Flash used to do. Flash was kind of simple because you just defined the shapes on the timeline yourself and then did all the code. It was all just vector based, and again, it was scalable. So you could work, the idea where you work on a small device, big device, and I like that because as screens get more dense, the only thing limiting how good your app looks then is the screen. So that's really nice to see. That it's like when the Retina MacBook came out. And I did a design, a flash site called Concentricron, which was like this clock made out of concentric rings. So it's like a kind of cool, wacky clock stroke calendar. But that's because clock faces got so much detail in them. It never looked really good on a standard definition screen. You put it on a Retina MacBook, and it looked amazing. And that was just technology. It's like print. What people design for print is the same thing. Just you want to look the very best.
Oh, sure.
It's just
and
there's
vectors,
an art to it.
And vectors always come off crisp, like you say, because you're not scaling them up, you're not scaling them down, so you're never losing information or trying to create new information.
There's just more real. It's analog. I'm a child of analog. So I like that. I like smooth things. I don't like digital discrete steps. So I'm kind of, in many ways, one of my missions when I design things is to make them feel analog. Because I'm a child of analog. I used to twit the button with television with 4 buttons on. It's like, it's all you need.
No, you're not that old.
46.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not old. So.
Well, so what does VectorGL bring to the table for other developers? And again, where will we see it pop up in other projects?
It's anyone who's been frustrated by the speed of DrawRect and Quartz. So it's not everyone, because not everyone. If you're writing a sprite-based game, you don't need VectorGL. If you're doing a graphic design application or a mapping application, or maybe real-time infographics, that's your niche. You will want as much speed as possible. If you want, say you're showing trends in financial trends, and before you've got to have a graph and you've got to slowly sort of page through every year. But maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just want a start date and end date of any scale. So you will start off with a year view and look how the fluctuations going from month to month smoothly. Same graph, all just being interpolated and redrawn on the fly. So it's that kind of just. You're removing the barrier between your thoughts. You don't have to think in pages and discrete types. You just need some information, check any whatever slice you like, and just redraw it. And ultimately, it's an interesting one because if you're still dealing with that kind of bitmap mindset, everything's square. I'm a little ahead of the curve because once you allow. You can draw anything, anywhere, in any direction. You've got it's like this is the area where designers can come back into software design because you can just carte blanche,
right?
And that's the interesting part of it. Is like I can make a few guesses at, like say, infographics, mapping, graphic design. I'm curious as to how far we will go once a designer realizes, you know what now. We can build an entire app out of vectors. We don't need to use UI kit. We don't need to put these blocks on anymore. Right. We can just go carte blanche, and we've got the rendering speed to be able to do it. So that's the interesting part.
That sounds like fun. It sounds like it because you're right. You can never have too much speed. Even with the computers we have now and the phones and the iPads, we still watch things redraw. There's still things you have to wait for to redraw, and that's not the end of the world, but it's not the way that you would like it to happen.
No, the experience. There's a magical moment when you hit 60 frames per second. It seems real. You don't see the judders anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're in the clear. You can do what you like, and that's where VectorGL is aiming for. And I fired it up on a MacBook Pro in Moscone, and it was running at 60 frames a second. And I was just like,
yeah,
yes.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah, because you realise applications feel so much better when they're smoother. The whole user experience is so much more seamless. You're so much more connected with what you're doing. Yeah. It's like what I'm trying to do is, it's not a computer. It's an analog device which is perfectly responsive to your needs. There is no latency. You never once snapped out of your illusion. You know what I mean? It's you and a document.
Right.
It's not you and a computer and a keyboard and a screen and then some pixels. It's you and your work. The medium has ceased to be. It's completely transparent.
Well, when you think back to 20 years ago with movie special effects, and you knew they were special effects, and so you kind of had to consciously try to suspend disbelief and go with it. And now the special effects are so good that you can't really tell if they're special effects or not. So that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And the ability to put that in the hands of developers and the consumer just changes the game, I think, in so many ways from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just let people do more cool stuff. And the amount of people out there now, Apple every year are lowering the barrier to entry for developers all the time. Yeah. They've said this year they've taken on another 40% more, 47%. So you can see this, you see now, you put the tools out there, they will get used. It's interesting now, it's funny. It's like, there's probably more developers now. You've got more, as a developer making a developer tool, I've probably got more potential customers now than at the start of the App Store. when you put an app out, you know, there might have been like 1 million customers. Now you've got 1 million developers.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
You know, and it's like, wow, because the App Store's become very consumer.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get noticed and think, I've still got an amazing market. And it's growing because Swift's come along. And Swift, you know, if I'm going to teach my daughter a language, I'm going to sit her down. I'm going to sit down and teach her Swift. Because, you know, what I want as a father is like, my daughter can use Xcode.
Right.
That would be amazing. She won't want to use Objective-C. She'll be like, what is that, Daddy? You know what I mean? She's like, there's this, it's a little litmus test of how open-minded you are. You know, like, the children just be like, oh, that's good. It's like, oh, it's a number.
So what did you see yesterday?
The Swift Playground. I mean...
So is Swift what you saw yesterday that was the most exciting for you?
No, Metal was most exciting for me.
Okay.
Because that offers the promise of the performance levels I know. I'm going through OpenGL at the moment. The way my engine works, there are a lot of OpenGL calls, a lot of state changes. It's very expensive on the driver to do that. Metal is a batching API. Rather than one call at a time, you batch up your entire set of draw calls into one ginormous buffer, everything. You can do that in a multi-threaded way, send it across, draw this big batch. You know exactly what's coming, you can optimize for the patterns, you can use compression. It's a huge bomb under the OpenGL community. So just like Swift is for the Objective-C community in a way, it's we've just deprecated this, I'm sorry. Move with the times, you know. So, and I think that probably Objective-C developers understand this. You know, it's future. You need to learn this now, and you can complain about it as long as you like. But it's going nowhere. You know, you adapt or bye bye, because there'll be another 500,000 developers behind you who will be happy to use Swift. You know, it's a brutal game. You know,
I saw a tweet yesterday about, and I can't remember who to attribute it to, but it was someone that said basically, you know, I don't see anything here that I feel the need to use. Well, I'm not a programmer, but I'm not, with Apple having the position it does, I'm not sure you can ignore Swift, or if you do so at your own peril.
Well, no, because you know the way Apple work, right? At the moment, you can use Objective-C or Swift. Equal, you know, they're both like first-class citizens.
Yeah.
You know over time that Objective-C will slowly get dropped down the pecking order. Or maybe this new library doesn't support Objective-C, they'll add a new feature to Swift. Or we can't use a playground. The playground will get better and better, you know what I'm saying? So, and the thing is, as I said this morning, it's not the language that will make me use Swift, it is the playground. Because it'll get me to teach my daughter. Because I don't know if you're aware of a guy called Brett Victor, Worry Dream. Yeah. I mean, I've seen his stuff, and everyone's seen his stuff, and gone, that is such a, you know, because I design as well. So I use an IDE, and I can tell when I'm using a tool designed by a developer, as opposed to a tool where designers have come into the mix. And the few and far between. You know, there's a little bit of it in Xcode, and now there's a lot more of it, because ultimately some of Brett Victor's imagination, the stuff that we're going, oh wow, I used to watch his talks and go, that's really good. Where's the source code? He never published anything. There's a real tease.
He likes to keep the sauce secret.
Exactly, and now, so that's why I was watching his tweets, because obviously now no one's going to be listening to him anymore because he can go and play on Rails Playground. So he's going to say, I wish I published now. Because you know what I mean? He's not part of the process.
Right.
He's not involved. He's taking his stuff and people run with that. So that's a thing about being too secretive, you know what I mean? You're going to share at some stage, or else you get...
So where do we send folks to learn more about VectorGL and what you're doing?
Well, they can follow the Twitter feed, where I'll be slowly posting updates. But we're working with my client Zero on getting the first integration into an app. So that's the next stage. I mean, it renders very well. Obviously, there's more features to add, there's more performance to add, but it renders, you know, and renders very well. And it's a case of now putting it together with an app and seeing it actually really hammering it. Yeah. So yeah, it's an exciting time now, because I've worked on it for the last, had the idea on Christmas Day, cut coded solidly for 17 frenzied days to have the prototype working. Then went across and sold it to my first client, and then I've been working on it, not solidly, but very, very regularly for the last 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm not with an aim to coming to San Francisco and selling it, just a case of it's an amazing opportunity. I've got a client, I've got a product I really enjoy working on. It's like a culmination of 3 years worth of work kind of thing, and it's got that sense it's kind of coming together a little better than it has. So.
And the Twitter handle is Mindblocks with an X.
Mindbrix.
Excuse me, Mindbrix.
Mindbrix
with
yes,
an X.
Yes.
Got it.
And then VectorGL is Vector_GL. I couldn't. Unfortunately, someone has squatted on the VectorGL. I may be able to get it because it's an inactive account, but so you'll find it.
Good.
So,
Nigel, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we'll do it again.
Yes, thank you.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. We're at WWDC and the AltConference in San Francisco, and we'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date with all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at MacVoices.com/newsletter. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at BackbeatMedia.com.